Hi everyone, welcome to this month's Sandvine webinar. My name is Trish Crompton. I am a Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Sandvine, and I'm joined today by Chris Stocker, VP of Product Management.
Welcome everybody.
So today's session is all about looking at QoE, and we're very excited to have this discussion with you guys. So we will get straight into it. So we made an announcement in September about a bit of a transformation that we've undergone as a company. And we are now known as Sandvine, the App QoE company. Now, this is a direct reflection of us taking a really good focus on the things that we do best. And it's really not about us, it's really about how we believe that we can help you and serve you better in terms of the challenges that you're facing, helping you analyze, optimize, and run your networks more profitably. And I hope that by the end of today's session, that will become very clear. I've been talking with analysts, media, and customers, partners, even my own sales colleagues, and everybody seems to have a different definition of what app or application means. So I thought maybe we could all just get on the same page before we continue with today and define what app actually means. Super quick definition here from Techopedia, but essentially we're talking about mobile or desktop tablet applications, anything that can be downloaded or installed in kind of one hit. And this kind of spans across enterprise, consumer, it's kind of in the entire app market. So that's kind of what we mean when we talk about applications, very much from the perspective of consumers versus maybe network and what have you. Now, in 2022, applications actually define a lot for us. They define how we do business, how we educate ourselves, how we entertain ourselves. And this has become even tenfold in the last couple of years. We've seen a dramatic shift in this due to the work from home trend. Now, specifically this process where any kind of process was formerly relying on analog or traditional methods have now become digitized and supported now by a variety of applications in order to deliver those services, whether it's for business or education. And this all relies on connectivity. And on average, most subscribers are consuming more than 8 hours across these three different kind of facets. So whether that's business, education, entertainment, they're defining our lives. But more importantly, for our industry, they're dominating. So applications, when we think of them, they're not anything new, but they have gone under a huge shift and a huge change. And the sheer number of them is so large and hard to kind of comprehend. Google has 3.5 million applications in their Play Store, with Apple, which has a little bit more rigorous requirements, has about 2.1 million. 22% of that, I believe, is gaming alone. And if you look at it from a revenue perspective across both kind of stores, $135 billion is being spent as of 2021. That was the last figure. So with applications playing such a huge role from a day-to-day perspective and also being a huge revenue generator in the marketplace, it is really the applications that are driving, from a dynamic perspective, the industry across multiple fronts. And these multiple fronts include global trends. So on the one hand, given this new reliance or increased reliance on connectivity to kind of just go about our day-to-day business, that line between being a power user and a heavy user is becoming increasingly blurred, with most of us consuming far more than we have ever before. And that's, with the introduction or kind of adoption of things like Zoom and more video conferencing alone. And then speaking of video, I've been at Sandvine for many years now, and the Global Internet Phenomena Report that we release talks about video, and typically the number for video is around 50 to 60% of global traffic. But what I think that number doesn't exactly represent is the fact that that pie gets bigger year over year by roughly about 30% over the last couple of years. So that's now 60% of a larger pie that is totally dedicated to essentially video. Further to that, we're at this tipping point where you have these big six brands that are now dominating the market from a brand perspective, but now they're also dominating the network, where 57% of global traffic is attributed to one of these top six brands. And that's just looking at it from a very macro global perspective. That's not even just taking into account the complexity of applications. Going back 10, 15 years ago, most applications kind of had one purpose. They were a messaging app, they were a social media app, they were a video streaming app. They weren't trying to do too many things. They were just trying to do one thing and do it really well. But applications now and how we incorporate them into our day-to-day lives are becoming far more complex. We're using them to work from home, and that puts a huge strain on residential networks that aren't necessarily built for enterprise applications. In order to have a seamless experience for VR and AR, there's different network requirements instead of what our traditional video streaming. And then as cloud gaming becomes more commonplace, as more people want to take advantage of this, democratized gaming opportunity, that has a completely different expectation from a network resource perspective. So, low latency and low jitter is extremely important in order to deliver a good experience, and gamers absolutely care about that. Then you're looking at online education, where it's very much about file sharing, listening or watching videos based on lectures if you can't be there in person. And then there's, working out, which I hope many of you in the last 2 years took advantage of workout sessions in your home, but it's already hard to get motivated to do it, let alone to have a very choppy experience. So the way in which we incorporate applications into our day-to-day lives is also putting a huge impact in terms of network requirements, and far more stringent in terms of those requirements than ever before. And then we actually look at the applications and how they're actually designed. So as I mentioned before, applications have a single use or a single purpose. Now, applications like Uber or Netflix are multi-use or multi-function applications, a combination of, in this example here, maps, payment, browsing, messaging. These are multiple functions inside the same application. And then you have multiplexing, where within the same flow, a whole bunch of different services can be delivered or be switched between. So from a visibility and an understanding exactly what those applications are used from, it becomes very hard for existing simple methods or tools. When we look at application behavior on top of that, so depending on the device, depending on the access network, that behavior can change. It doesn't always look the same. Then you have regional differences based on society or cultural needs or what have you. And Sandvine looks at global trends as part of our Global Internet Phenomena Report, and we see these differences and these nuances between the regions. And in fact, it helps us actually predict. So in 2019, we actually predicted that TikTok was going to take off, and in fact, it has. because we saw early signs from the APAC market, and now it's moved into Western markets. The thing with applications is that their behavior changes regularly, and often without any kind of notice or warning to either the consumers using the service or those actually responsible for delivering that service. And this all comes down to the big six in some ways. And I'm not going to go through every single bullet point on this slide today just for the sake of time, but what I want to say is that these big six, and when they make a market decision, a financial decision, they make a product decision, that has huge implications and a ripple effect on the network. Now, Elon Musk, he mentioned yesterday he wants to create an app, and the X app, which is, the app of all apps, right? What kind of impact is that going to have on the network? What kind of quality is going to be delivered when you have this, killer app that he's trying to develop? What I want you to also take away is that these big six, for example, represent about 40 applications on the network. So it's not just one or two applications, it's a huge amount. And like I said, 57% of the traffic comes from the top six. What's also interesting to take away is that whenever there's an outage or an issue, consumers and subscribers, they're not calling Netflix and Microsoft and Amazon, they're not picking up the phone. Service providers are acting as customer care essentially for these outages. And that's really hard from a OpEx and CapEx perspective, where there's no equitable relationship between service providers and content providers. Which leads us to kind of why we're here. So this traditional approach, building a network based on volume and just sheer tonnage, and to deliver voice, video, data services to consumers and enterprises, this is no longer like a sustainable model. Delivering unlimited plans is no longer a sustainable model. The cost to actually deliver these applications on your network in the way it is being done today is no longer sustainable. But we also know that application quality of experience is inextricably tied to your brand. Every person cares about the applications they use. They rely on them to do their day-to-day business and connect with their loved ones. Application quality experience is how people, consumers, enterprise alike, gauge the performance of their provider. The market is ubiquitous in terms of the fact that the plans are all the same, the price is roughly around the same, so the only way to differentiate is how well is your service being delivered and how good is your coverage. How reliable are the applications running on your network perceived by the end user? And that's why we have AppCureWe. That's why we're focusing on what we do best, which is marrying these two different concepts, which is, firstly, we look and we have the visibility of the applications. We identify them, we categorize them, and we classify the actual content within inside of them. And then we assign quality of experience metrics to understand how well they're actually performing. Marrying these two concepts together gives a really powerful view of what is actually happening on your network from the perspective of end users. End users don't care about protocols or upstream and downstream. What they care about is whether or not their Zoom is reliable, whether or not their Netflix is delivering a good quality of experience from a video perspective, whether or not they can file share in a fast manner if they've got a deadline for work. Now, Sandvine has a foundation in this. we are focusing on what we do best because we've been doing this for 22 years. We know applications better than anybody else because we have made a business out of it for 22 years. Our ability to identify applications and then score them is foundational to what we do at Sandvine. When people ask, how does Sandvine's data and visibility kind of differentiate in the market? How is it better than anybody else? I'll give it to you in a way that really resonated with me the other day when somebody said it. For any of you who wear glasses, who need glasses, who rely on that, using Sandvine is like putting on a pair of glasses. Everything comes into focus. Everything becomes very clear. Our data isn't just another data point in your network. It focuses in what's actually important. It's relevant, it's timely, and it's actionable. It's information turning into intelligence, turning into insight. Insight that can be acted upon either within the network or offline, driving business decisions and business performance. As I mentioned, we do application visibility better than anybody else. We have 95% accuracy across 2,500 applications. We do this in spite of encryption, and we've even won an award for it. And if you look at this award, it's not just about the visibility piece, which we do at a very granular level. It's also about having a very surgical approach to managing that in the network. Sandvine solution is more than just one fold. It's more than just analytics. It's more than just data. It's about managing the network in a more optimal way. And this is based on our ability to not only just see applications, see what's inside of them, but also answer key questions around quality of experience. Having the contextual awareness because of where we sit in the network to also understand what else is happening. How well is that application performing, but also how is it performing by location, by plan, by user segment, by device. Answering these questions allows for a much more targeted approach to managing, troubleshooting, and identifying issues in the network. And we do this at a very granular way. And we do this because we're constantly measuring all traffic, all applications, all content categories inside those applications for all subscribers, and we're doing this all the time. And as I said before, Sandvine knows applications. We know them better than anybody else. And that's why we capture throughput at a 250 millisecond granularity, because we understand the nature of applications from a throughput perspective is you're going to see bursty traffic. So in order to actually capture what's happening from a quality of experience perspective, having 250 milliseconds is the best way to get the full picture of what's happening with QoE. From a packet loss and latency perspective, which is our two other KPIs when we look at quality of experience, so throughput, packet loss, and latency, we do this between 1 to 5 seconds to understand exactly what's happening. Now, for gaming and video, we have additional KPIs, but the basis for us is looking at packet loss, throughput, and latency. And when we do this, we look at it per subscriber, per flow, per app category. We do this by location, by device. And combining all of this unlocks and enables use cases that are super powerful. The difference between a Sandvine use case for managing your traffic or charging or analyzing or planning or whatever it happens to be is that we're doing it in a way that is based on intelligence. You're not doing it half blind. You're not doing it with 70% visibility or 60% visibility. You're doing it with data that is near real time, for example, in the case of troubleshooting. Being able to visualize the quality of experience in your network and say, in this case here, we have Zoom and Netflix. Without having to look at any of the numbers here, I know that I have a Zoom and a Netflix problem. And I know that Zoom and Netflix on my network, for example, is super important to my subscribers. That is what's going to trigger a customer care series of calls. So being able to visualize the power of the data makes it far easier to take action and to do something about it. Being able to show that data, not just, hey, you have an application problem, but the context of you have an application problem in this location, by this plan, by this device, makes it a far more powerful troubleshooting tool, for example, than other alternatives. What I want you to take away today is that with Sandvine's app QoE, you don't just get, troubleshooting capabilities, which is super important, but you get visibility into those applications, into the content inside of those applications. And you understand how they're being delivered so you can plan your network better, so that you can run your network hotter at maybe 85 to 90% without impacting QoE. So you can extend the lifetime of your existing network as you transition to next generation networks. So you can have better OpEx and get more out of your network, keep your subscriber happy, and do this with the intelligence backing, that you're making business decisions based on intelligence. I'm going to hand it over to Chris now to explain why.
Thanks, Trish. As Trish has told you, right, the app QoE is super important to your customers. It's super important to you as a service provider and where you're going to be. So to be able to help you there, we are the market leader in the app QoE to be able to help you get the highest experience. But it's not just about that. There's quite a bit more that's fundamentally underneath the covers here in order to be able to make sure that app QoE is important and why it's important to your business. There is multiple pieces and facets to that: analyze, optimize, and monetize, that goes beyond what we end up having here today. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. We'll try it one more time. There we go. All right. So as Trish said, it's about making sure that you get all the applications and the complex application coverage and the encryption that's happening. But more so that's happening here as well, that she showed you before, is a lot of what ends up seeing on your network in traditional deep packet inspection companies is they are saying, yes, we see Microsoft. Yes, we see Skype. Here at Sandvine, we strive to go a step further. We don't just look at the fact that it's Skype. We don't just look at the fact that it's Microsoft. As she showed you, there's a breakout of applications that are inside of there. Traditional application methods just look at those and say, okay, I recognized who the provider of the application is. Therefore, this is the app, and I will manage it as such. With the whole invention of the metaverse and what we're doing, that real-time application scoring that she was talking about, the 250 millisecond granularity, is great, but it's not good enough. And why do I say it's not good enough? And this is why Sandvine is fundamentally changing the way that it does app QoE. The fact that you have companies like Netflix that are doing video and gaming in the same application. So I can no longer say Netflix is on here and it has a good quality of experience, because if I look at it from a Netflix perspective, I'm going to measure it as quality of experience of video. But now they have the gaming tier. Their gaming tier is the same function and stuff that's used in order for us to be able to make this go into the video QoE that we were looking at before, because the stream looks the same. Traditional companies are going to tell you Netflix has a 4.0 stream. It's really, really good. But Netflix gaming could be in the toilet because it's way below, because they're not looking at the content being delivered. This is one of the fundamental things Sandvine is offering to you above and beyond what you end up getting in your traditional metrics that people are looking at and saying, I think the network is being delivered good or delivered bad. It's pretty important for us to understand that real-time application function or content or activity in the way you look at it. And that's why when we say we specialize in video and gaming QoE, it's not just video and gaming. It's video, it's voice, it's other functionalities. You look at Skype. Skype composes of 3 different things. There's a control method, there's a text messaging. Actually, I could say it's 4, because there's voice and there's video. Trish talked about the educational stuff. How do you deliver a good educational experience? Educational experience could be nothing more than a webinar like we're watching now. It could be a webinar with video like you're watching now. It could be a webinar with two-way video, two-way voice. It could be with multiple questions and answers having to be answered by a student. And you need to make sure maybe the video isn't as important for delivery, but while they're taking the test, low latency and responses to the answers have to be delivered on a regular basis. And that's why AppQoE is totally making the explosion of what Trish is trying to show you today. And then how do you make sure that those quality of experiences for those important apps are there? That's why we talk about our network optimization. Because now not only can we help you optimize your network when you have congested areas, where you want certain apps to be better, well, wouldn't it be better to be able to go to your regulators, to be able to go to, your customers, including the content providers, and say, I don't pick on certain apps. I don't care. With having Sandvine in my network, I know all video apps, whether I know the application name or not. Therefore, I can make sure that they have good quality of experience. These are the things that Sandvine is able to offer you that nobody else in the industry is able to offer you, and why Trish is, emphasizing we are the best in the business. We have 22 years of heritage in this. We are the only ones that can deliver this to you, as we are the only ones that are making the fundamental transformation in order to be able to make sure that the quality of experience in your network is the best possible. Because let's face it, we all have KPIs today that show us how they're going to monetize our network, how they're going to optimize our network, where the red is, where the problematic is. The days of the fact that the router says that the utilization is overutilized on a link is over. That red is so big in most of our networks when we end up going into our knock center. Wouldn't it be great to know which one of those reds that are overutilized, the subscribers actually have a bad experience for what matters most to you? Now you can go decide where you spend your capital and OpEx dollars so that you get the subscribers that have the ultimate experience. It doesn't make a difference if you're congested anymore. What makes a difference is if you're congested and affecting your customers so that they talk bad about you. That is why quality of experience is so important. And the views of quality of experience of the types of contents that are being delivered is super important for you to be able to manage your network. So here's a couple fundamentals that I really love. Trish and I talk about this on a regular basis about how do we expect you to believe us, right? One of the biggest problems we have is I could say that I'm the best in the business. So can my competition. So can any one of the NEMs that you have in your network. How do you believe which one of us is good enough? Which is the best? Why do I need that? And where do I get there? So one of the things that Sandvine prides itself is a clear, focused approach. We know where we are. We know our strengths. We know how to help our customers. More importantly, we know how to be able to share with our customers the transparency of how confident we are in certain methods that we utilize in order to be able to classify traffic. Traffic classification is not a black art like everybody wants you to know it is. It happens to have to be with certain ways in which you do hierarchies, in which you do different matrices, in which you do use machine learning and AI to be able to learn certain functions of them. Based on how you end up doing this and how you end up going through the flow determines how confident you are in the application classification that you're in. Then when it's fundamentally moving to the point where you will have those classification confidence levels transparently shared with you. You ask for them as you're running in your network, you will see where we are at. You'll see the amount of unknown that we actually have inside your network. We will make sure when we say that we have 95% accuracy on more than 2,500 apps, how can you believe us? We'll go through our methodologies with you as a customer. We'll be able to explain those to you and show you why we feel that we are the best that are there. We're fundamentally changing the way that we're doing scoring. You've heard of scorecard. Sandvine is known around the world for its scorecard and how we've been able to help score. We watched the transformation of the internet over the last 3 years with COVID. We've been fundamentally changing the way that our core product works so that we can better reflect what those applications are. So we can get the content classification that you guys all need to actually understand whether or not Zuckerberg is right. The metaverse is here because he termed it that. It's not really here, but the invention of multiple functions and multiple actions, multiple contents in a single application is here. The advent of the app stores forced that. You end up with multiple functions in a single app as opposed to a single app for every single function. And that's the whole definition of an app that Trish gave you in the beginning and why it's so important that it's one-click downloadable and has everything you need inside of it. If you think about those education platforms, they're an SMS platform, they're a video platform, they're a conferencing platform, they're a gaming platform, because if you're dealing with underage kids and they're in that prior to the tween years, it has to be fun. It has to be a gaming thing for them to learn. So now, one education program just became everything the internet is known for. How do you deliver that successfully on a regular basis? And like I said, we will give you the tools to be able to see those application categories easily. We're going to give you the tools to be able to see the quality of experience that's happening, not just at the application, but the content it delivers on a regular basis. And we're going to continue to enhance our QoE. As we have today, we have special drill downs for voice and video. Oh, sorry, not voice and video, video and gaming. We're expanding that to voice. We're expanding that to web browsing. We're expanding that into what ends up happening in these conferencing apps, these multi-endpoint apps and how they're going to be there. This is all the forefront of what Sandvine is helping to bring you to be able to better manage your network and make sure that your brand is protected by the experience the customer has on your network, regardless of whether they're in the congested portion of the network or the uncongested portion of the network. Wouldn't it be better to spend those CapEx dollars where they're truly needed instead of having to ask for CapEx dollars that you may never get and never be able to expand the entire network the way you want to? These are those methods in which Sandvine will help you enhance and be able to make your network clearer. And as Trish says, I right now don't have my glasses on. I can read what's on the screen. If I put my glasses on, I can not only read what's on the screen, but I can actually see the colors the way that I want to, not necessarily the way that I'm seeing them right now without my glasses on. Let us help you take the lens to look inside your network farther than anybody's been able to show you before, and help you really be able to deliver the proper quality that your customers know and expect from you, and not let them down no matter what events happen inside of your network. I love this image. When Trish first showed this to me, I laughed, and she said, "What's the matter? You think it's too corny?" I said, "No." I said, "Because you know what? We finally hit the point. Sandvine has been growing over these 22 years that it's been in existence. We've ended up, we built the foundation. We ended up building the house. Yes, we put the roof on it. Now, we finally got the cherry on top of that entire thing that can tie everything together, because the app is king, and the app is how we end up looking at every single way in which to be able to make your business better, make your delivery better, and make sure you understand how to monetize your customers in a way that makes sense to the way they use your network. So, you know, the all-you-can-eat unlimited plan may still be king, may still need to be there. But is it time for a new revolution? You can pay for the all-you-can-eat plan, basic, medium, and advanced. And maybe that gets you better quality of experience. And in there, I do guaranteed delivery on certain things. We've all talked about a gaming tier before. All the technology is here for us to be able to offer that with what we have and what we're offering here, and what your networks are evolving to at this point in time in the world. So we would love to have a chance to be able to be there, to be able to help you on the journey, explain to you how we can further get you the visibility you need to make sure that the quality of experience that you claim you deliver to your customers is there, and better than what you say that you end up delivering to your customers. And understand better where to spend your CapEx and OpEx dollars inside your network based on what your subscribers' needs are, as opposed to what the router needs are telling you that's inside your network today. Thank you, everybody, for spending some time with us. I'd love to open it up for some Q&A if any of you would like to ask us some questions or anything else that you'd like to know more on this. We will continue this series, Trish and I. There will be additional stuff that goes into more and more of what's coming out at the end of this year and as we go into the first quarter of 2023. I look forward to you guys joining us again to be able to learn more about this and how we can further help you expand your networks.
So we do have one question here, Chris. The question is, what goes into your scoring? What does it mean, or how does that work? Would you like to take this one?
Sure. So, guys, scoring is a very big thing, right? There's multiple ways to do it. There's two different things when we talk about scoring. There's scoring, and then there's quality of experience. When we talk about scoring, we talk about the network health. What is the network health to be able to deliver those applications? That's what you've gotten from Sandvine today in our scorecard. It gives you a glimpse into the quality of experience of the deliverable mechanisms in order to be able to deliver to your customers. The fundamental change when we say app QoE and we're changing it to the quality of experience is remove that subjectivity and give you the objectivity that allows you to be able to know what the delivery is. And what do I say with the differences of that? That means that not only are we going to measure throughput, jitter, latency, we're going to start adding additional attributes to that that allows us to be able to figure out what would be the buffer stalls, what would be the click to start methods, what would be the quality of that deliverable based on not only the network, but the ability for the handset or the actual PC or computer or tablet to be able to receive those packets. So we're taking not only the ability to be able to say, how does your network score to deliver, but how exactly is that scoring happening, and how is that quality delivery happening throughout the entire life of the deliverables? So you're not just looking at the score of the ability to deliver, but you're looking at the score of the ability to deliver and the acceptance on the customer side. There's a question that will be on demand, so you guys can listen to it again. This most definitely will. You guys will have that available to you.
And then just one more.
Yeah, there's one more. If you can read that, Trish, I appreciate it.
Yeah, just asking about the 95% accuracy, which we pride ourselves on. Do you want to explain how we can hit that versus kind of the industry standard, which is about 60s, kind of 70% accuracy?
Sure thing. So Sandvine has two ways in which it looks at it at the traffic that's around the world. We do have what we call app identifiers that are installed around the world, either in our customers, in universities. We also have what we call app crawlers that crawl the applications in all the different various app stores, looks at what the top applications are, where they're at. We work with a lot of our different customers in our different regions, in which we work with them to find the traffic that is unknown in their network. So we don't just give you a overall function of saying that we delivered a application and we think we're the best because we did all this work outside. It's a partnership with every one of our customers. So we expose to our customers how much is unclassified. If the unclassified drops below 5% and starts hitting 10%, we immediately jump into proactive monitoring with our customers to be able to find out what those applications are. And this is how we end up achieving that 95% accuracy, because we don't just rely on our own methods, we rely on the methods in which we work with our customers as well to ensure, because at a worldwide level, we can be 95%. But I can go into the APAC region, the EMEA region, the LATAM region, and only be 85 or 90% because we miss some of the ones that are there that are more granular. Or I could talk about a certain country. If I go into that country, maybe that country, there's one application more popular than the other. We are able to expose those and find those as we work with our customers and immediately take our team of protocol analysts into those particular regions to go find out where those protocols are, what is happening with those protocols, and be able to make signatures for them, and or use our machine learning functions that allows us to further be able to understand the patterns and be able to make fingerprints of what's happening with those applications.
Question here. Are you assessing QoE at the network endpoint and or at device level?
Yes, so we're taking that into account as we're doing this next fundamental change that we're doing here. We are looking at being able to make sure that we look at device quality of experience versus what we're computing at the network level. Because of the fact that we are sort of, I don't want to say a passive probe, but because we could sit inline or offline and look at the packets that go by and understand how end of the network as well as the peering points work, we have the ability to be able to infer certain parts of what's happening at that endpoint or that device level. So we are definitely taking the measurements from those different pieces as we're doing our quality of experience metrics and as we're updating our algorithms in order to be able to compute our quality of experience. And we are comparing them to those other functions to see how close we are to be able to help with the confidence that we give you guys when we come in to tell you that this is the quality of experience score and why we got there versus what the actual handset is saying and or some other network endpoint is saying from a delivery standpoint. So we do not take the data directly in from them, but we are comparing our data to their data and tuning appropriately in order to be able to get the best quality of experience metric that is the most objective that we can be without inferring the subjectivity of the eyeballs that are actually looking at it.
So I'm just going to wrap up there, given that we don't have any more questions. I want to thank everybody for joining us for today's session. I invite you to do two things. One, if you'd like to have a one-to-one session or a workshop, we have a fantastic demo that shows the power of our application quality of experience. So feel free to reach out and we'll be more than happy to set something up. Or you can check out any one of our pieces of collateral here that goes through kind of a little bit more of the app QoE story and understands the power of that from a use case and solving problem level. And the last thing is that I hope that today that you take away that from Sandvine, in the next year, you can expect a far more focused approach to the things that we do best to help you solve your big problems, and that this is based on what end customers care about. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, everyone. Really do appreciate it. Have a great day.